Hello out there. I'm pissed. I'm really, really pissed. Wine. Lady, can y'all see it? This is a really good wine. Some friends of mine got me this wine for my birthday a couple of months ago. I am pissed. One, this episode, the end, got a couple takeaways. And two, as I was taking notes, I was eating and I wiped my keyboard and I deleted my notes. So now we're going to go a little off the cuff. I'm going to watch the episode and just, report my 2 cents, which, it's not really much going to change. But we'll just start it from the end. Don't give these niggas, these ninjas, brown liquor. Y'all saw the ending before as they're coming to the room. They were drinking that brown liquor, and I think that was the cause of some of those responses that we got. Two, Kyra is like, do you guys remember making the band and Chappelle's version of it with Dylan, 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 top five. It was Kyra, 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 Kyra. Kyra must spit hot like fire in all these guys' ears because she was top prize. So we're going to get to the ending here, but we're just going to start with the beginning. So it is the men's turn this week back in their court. And what they are asked to do this week is introduce their lady of their choice, that the one that they're interested in, to their friends. So that, they can get a different perspective on the relationship and see, like, is this really a connection? Is this something else? Are they not picking up any red flags? Okay, so first up was Joel, and he had his friends it was like two gentlemen and a lady were at his house, and Vernisha came over, and they didn't even get up when she came in the door. They just remained seated and said, "Hey," and I was just like, "Okay." A little bit weird vibe. Like from the beginning of this episode, I was like, "This is just the energy for this whole episode just feels really weird." They sat down, they were talking, and Vernisha brought up that the way no, Joel's friend said, when he calls women babies, like they really take it to heart, like he's feeling them. And that's what Venetia said. She's like, the way, you talk to everyone and you're very friendly and hospitable and calling up girls baby. Um, like they're taking it like you have a connection with them. But she's like, I know my connection is different with me, but she's like, I'm territorial, like, and that's one of the things that is bothering Joel. Like he's picking up on that. And after Venetia leaves, the friends talk about that, like she's very territorial, like that she needs to understand that this is a process. But she's staking her claim on him because she mentioned that she wanted to be one of the first couples to get married on Way to Love, and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She's like, like if it's so these, if that's the connection there. But it looks like Joel doesn't want to be tied down. You see, I'm not saying Joel because I'm over him. I can't do it. No, no. After this episode, I was like, yeah, this is why I don't trust men. This is why I don't trust him. Don't be doing everything to pull me in, and then once you have me, I'm like, I'm good. Because Joel was not the only one to do it, but David was too. But we're gonna get to that later. The next one was KG Smooth and Amber. He introduced them to two of his podcast friends, and they had a really good conversation about just the genuineness, like she's very straightforward, she's very genuine. Looks like she's really into this. I didn't really have I never really have many takeaways from Amber and KG because they just seem to be just coasting with their connection there. But I did like the way his friends greeted her, and it was just very warm, receptive. It was like actual conversation. And then the next one is Jason. This is where some of the awkwardness came in because Liz came first to meet his friends, and then Kyra came, and neither one of the women knew about each other. So I would have felt weird. It was a very awkward situation. My friends talk to both of them, and then once they leave, they tell Jason like they like the way Kyra is with Jason. Feels more natural, more free flowing. Like I said, Liz comes off as very stiff. Like she brought up that like she's very spiritual. She takes Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. And when I hear that phrase, I'm like, oh, you like really, really deep in the Bible. And so that, so it kind of pushed Jason more towards Kyra. Um, Kyra also gets the chance to hang out with AJ and his friends. and they were slinging a lot of questions at her. And so she reversed it. She's like, is there anything that I need to know? You know, like, is he really ready for love? And they're like, no, he's a good guy. He's ready for love. He's stable. He's there. And then once she exited, they said like, oh, you know, we like her for you. She seems like she wants to be in it, but she is guarded, and that is something that I think has been consistent throughout the episodes because you know they have that history with each other, and they're just trying to rebuild. But it looks like she's a little bit more trepidatious with him. Then we get another awkward 2-on-1. It's not it's on in a club. I wouldn't want to meet someone's friends in a club. Like you can't hear each other. A nice dinner would have been better, but this was really weird. It was Ron, Alexis, and Chrysanthemum meeting Ron's friends. And for this one, from what I remember, Alexis was criticizing Chrysanthemum's clothing. And I'm like, you should be one to talk, Miss Fly Jones. Your fashions have not been on par, but you know, should I be really be judging because I'm in a big old checkered shirt right now, you know, and some leggings. But girl, you want to be known as Fly Jones, but you would have worn that too. But I did agree with her that that Chrysanthemum should not have worn that when she was going to be meeting his friends. So I think she should change her outfit for there. In addition, I think Alexis hit it off really well with the friends, and they even said that too. Right before she was giving full answers and engaging with them. Chrysanthemum said she doesn't like interviews, and so she was giving really short answers. They asked her if she wants kids. She was like, "No, I've never been that type of." And then the confessional, she said, "I'm not one to be that type of mom. I don't really care, you know, whatever. I'm selfish." And she says, "I don't like to be interviewed." And to me, I just think it just comes off as like she's just used to just being pretty and not having to do a lot of work. And so after when Ron's with his friends, they're like, well, Chrysanthemum's the one that you used to just doing. If you just want to have fun, chill, whatever, go for it. But if you're trying to grow as a man and build an empire, like then Alexis is your way to go. And pause here. I did not hear in the last episode when KG Smooth and Chrysanthemum were on a date, and Chrysanthemum says she doesn't do relationships; she just does situationships. So it makes me wonder, like, why are you on the show? It's called Ready for Love. It's ready for commitment. What are you doing here? I mean, this must have just sounded like something fun for you to do because you don't sound serious at all. Then we see David with his friends, and he is introducing them to Liz. And what I took away from this one is that, you know, Liz mentioned to David the same day that it happened that she kissed Jason on the Ferris wheel from the last episode, but her heart is still with him, and David is her number one. But David mentioned that he feels some way about this, and he feels like he's slowing the process down. So I thought they had a pretty solid connection, but it looks like David is very indecisive, which is leaving, you know, Liz not feeling feeling very comfortable in this relationship. She says she wants some consistency. You know, like, are we going to be together or not? She's like, this far in the process, you should know by now. And the fact that he's slowing down or having these questions, you know, is giving pause. Like he might be slipping in his ranking possibly because of the way he's treated. And besides Liz, I don't think anyone else is interested in David. So I am not sure what is going on with that. And then we have like a date between AJ and Kyra because Jason and Kyra, after Jason met up with his friends and they said how much they like Kyra, you know, he took her out to a really beautiful art gallery, brought roses, and they looked around a collection. There's rose petals everywhere. And I really, really, really want to root for Jason. I really, really do. I just don't see that. I'm just not connected with him, but I'm like, he seems like such a genuine guy. I may have given him a hard time before. You know, I mean, I may have overlooked him or I called him corny, but I'm like, now that I saw this whole episode, I can see that he is probably one of the more genuine guys, along with KG Smooth, who is really in the process. So I do take back things that I've said about him because he seems like he's really looking for love. And, you know, he had a good time talking to Kyra and they end up sealing the date with a kiss. And, you know, good for them. Like he's really testing out this process and seeing where it goes. Okay, and so we end up back at the Generous Lounge. This review is going to be really quick. I thought this one was going to be longer, but my notes were deleted last minute right when I was wrapping up. So I'm just going to do this one fast. I'm doing it fast off the top of my head. So we meet back at the Generous Lounge. The first thing I see in the edit was they were just making those drinks, that brown liquor, and I was like, ninjas and brown liquor don't mix. They don't mix. And we saw in this gentleman's lounge discussion what happened. So all the men go around and talk about how the women that they, how their friends reacted to the women that they brought to them. And then Tommy asked a very important question. He's like, if the process ended today, who are you walking home with? And so AJ answers Kyra. Reasonable. We've seen the dates. We've seen that they're trying to work on a connection. Next, it goes to Joel. Let's take a moment. Next, it goes to Joel. And Joel says, Kyra. Now, I'm glad Tommy said this. Tommy said, you never mentioned Kyra, because I was about to go in on editing, because I was like, if he's talking about Kyra, where are those dates? I know there's dates that are missing, but you guys should have shown some type of connection. But the way Joel explained, he's like, I think he was feeling some type of way about the conversation he had with Benicia, because he said that they had a conversation, there was a miscommunication, and I guess they're pretty heated now. I think he said it to be vindictive. Either way, I thought that was a dick move. And I'm like, we were rooting for you. I immediately thought of the Tyra Banks quote, we were rooting for you. And you picked Bernice. I was like, that is so petty. That is so petty. If that's the way you bat in a relationship, you're for the streets. Bye. I was trying to move to Louisiana because I was like, this is type of, but I'm like, nah, this is why we don't trust. Because I'm like, you come out of nowhere and blindside. This is they pull you in, and then once you're hooked, they're like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Bullshit. So, I mean, Joel also like he will have a conversation with Venetia about it, but it just left. That was poor taste. Poor taste. Then this is where I know it was brown liquor, because he was like, oh, we're just gonna choose one. Like one. He laughed, and then he grabs AJ and Joel by the shoulder. He's like, I guess it's gonna be Kyra. I'm like, since when? And then David's the commissioner's like, we all want Kyra. He's like, how many hours does Kyra have in the day? Like, wow, she's got so many good connections. I'm like, does she though? Or are y'all just bullshitting? It sounds like y'all are just bullshitting at this point, because I'm like, ain't no way that you spent this much time with Liz. Y'all have that spiritual foundation and the conversations you've had, and Kyra is the one you're gonna go home with. What is going on? That when I watched this episode 3 times. I watched it twice yesterday, and I was going to do a review yesterday, but I was like, I need to calm down. That show shouldn't rile me up like this. And so today, so let me be calm. I got my wonderful drink here. So delicious. I'm going to wash this again. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. But these ninjas, they can't be trusted. I do bad all by myself. I'm good. I'm straight. I'm good. Good. Then we see, and also, before I forget, KG Smooth and Jason called it out too. They're like, what is going on? Which, that's what I said. I was going to go in on editing. I was going to criticize editing on yesterday. But I was like, let me watch this again. And Tommy, KG Smooth, and Jason all confirmed this. They're like, where's this coming from? What are y'all talking about? So I know, I'm like, yeah, those men are bullshitting. It's not the editing. There are dates that are being edited out, but for them to say Kyra, David and Joel to Kyra, that was an extreme. That was just random. That's what I was like, they were drinking and they're fucking around. That was the Seagram's liquor, which I know is sponsoring the show, but I'm like, that was that brown liquor talking at that point. Anyway, so we go to the other side. Ron said he's feeling Alexis. And KG Smooth said Amber. And then Jason's like, Kyra, so it's just like Kyra. And then they talk about who they're not feeling. And then it switches over to Liz. They're saying she's very stiff, had to have built a lot of connections. And then the other one is Chrysanthemum. They're like, yeah, she's very selfish. She wants it to be all about her. She told Joel that she doesn't want to split time between him and his kids. She's not returning text messages, even though Ron's like, she gets mine and I get hers. she seems very flighty. So KG Smooth takes out Chrysanthemum and Ron takes out Liz. So Liz meets up with Ron. She's very weird about it. She's like, "What connection do we have here? Like, what's going on?" And KG Smooth takes Chrysanthemum, and the minute he meets up with Chrysanthemum, he's like, "It's a weird energy in the air." He's like, you could just tell she was just not having it. So bottom line out of this was that KG Smooth sits down Chrysanthemum and just says, a lot of the guys are not feeling the way you're doing things. And you could just tell her energy is funky foul. You're not returning your text messages like, and KG Smith is giving her the best. He is dealing with the Naya of this season. But she handled it, a lot better. He said, at this point, you're not ready to love. You may be, but your actions are showing different. And, wish you best of luck. And she's like, y'all don't like a taste of your own medicine. I don't know what that means. I think she's just used to being spoiled and just like letting her looks get her by. And that's just not enough to get through this show. Some of the guys are looking for actual substance. And so not enough of the guys are just looking just for a good time to keep her around. And she was at the number one rank. She was number one ranked amongst the guys from like episode one. Episode one, the mix and mingle. But her personality wasn't enough to sustain that. Like looks are one thing, but if you ain't got nothing behind it, then what's the point? And then as far as Ron and Liz, sorry, I'm like getting low energy here. My voice is going. He tells Liz that, we do feel like you're ready to love. We just want to see we want to see different sides of you. So if you can go ahead and present that, obviously, you're going to probably find that you connect with different men on different levels. And that is how the show wraps up. But next week looks so juicy. The women are introduced the men to their exes. I'm gonna need more of this. Because this episode here with Joel and David acting a fool, and then he looks like he's acting a fool with Liz next episode. We're probably in for a bumpy ride until the end. So strap in, folks. Strap in. So, did you watch this episode? What do y'all think? I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I'm sorry it was like a little bit of a downer for me because I deleted my notes right before I was gonna present it to you guys. But hope you enjoyed the review. If you guys were able to get through enough of it. And until next time, take care of yourself.